Okay, folks, this is going to be a quick screencast walking us through some basic blood type testing. One thing that we're going to look at our controls here, so we're going to look at a positive control and a negative control. Our positive control is a sample of blood that we know to be AB positive, and our negative control is a sample of blood that's type O negative. Again, the importance on that is when we do a blood test, or a blood typing test, we're actually carrying out 3 tests for each blood sample. So for AB positive, we are going to be looking for A surface proteins, B surface proteins, as well as RH surface proteins. And my negative control, type O negative, I should find none of them, again, because this is type O negative blood, so thus we know it should not contain A's, B's, or RH's. So the way we go looking for the surface proteins is by adding antibodies for that specific surface protein. So the way that looks, I've got my antibodies here, my antiserums here. Antiserums are liquids that contain antibodies. There's one that's labeled A, and again, this one is specifically made to go after A surface proteins, and if it finds that surface protein, it will stick to the surface protein itself, and we'll get that antibody-antigen reaction that occurs and results in agglutination. So the way I run the test, I'm going to put my antibodies in first. I'm going to add a drop of the A antibodies to the well that's labeled A for both my positive and my negative controls, as well as any other tests I'm running. I'm going to add a sample of my B antibodies to the wells labeled B for each of my tests. And then I'm going to add my RH antibodies, 1 drop in the well labeled RH. Now I'm going to add my blood sample, give my blood sample a shake. 1 drop of blood of my positive control into the A well, drop into B, and a drop into RH. Now same thing with my negative control. So antibodies first, drop of blood second. And at this point now I need to go ahead and mix them up. So using toothpicks, need to go ahead, and again this is where we can contaminate our samples if we're not careful. So with a new toothpick, mix, and then I like to go ahead and store it right there because I'm going to look at them again here in a second, and I need to remember which toothpicks I used for each sample here. So get them nice and mixed up, and then do the same thing over here with my positives. Gosh, get in there, you rascal. There we go. And again, what I'm looking for, so now the test needs to run for about 2 minutes. So it's nice that if you're going to test a bunch of these, just get them all out and start testing them all, do them all together. Again, what I'm looking for in this case is agglutination. Agglutination is a result of the specific antibody finding the specific protein on the outside of the red blood cell. If they find the correct antibody, if the antibody finds the correct surface protein, they're going to start clumping together. Again, that's your immune system's response. It clumps them together, kind of marks them for destruction, and your immune system can get in there and wipe them up and take care of them. So same thing is happening here. If you see clumping in any of the dishes, that tells you that that surface protein is there. So again, after you've let this test run for about 2 minutes, and really don't try to fudge this one. The longer you let the results go, the better off they are. Again, sources of contamination in this case would be mixing up the Q-tips or not paying attention to your labels. At this point, you've gone ahead and you've let your test run. Take your toothpicks, and I want you to go ahead and mix them up again. And what we should see in our negative control is we should really see nothing happening there. What we should see are blood samples that are slightly more dilute, but there really shouldn't be any outward physical difference other than the fact that the sample gets a little bit lighter here. Okay, now when I go look at my positives, give them a good mixing up again. What I should definitely see is some nice agglutination here, and I'll show you what this looks like up close. But what we no longer see is a red liquid. What we see is a clear liquid with a bunch of red dots in it here. The A and the B agglutinate really nicely. The RH, you can see instead it kind of just turns into like a thicker paste here. That's a result of some of the chemistry that occurs with the synthetic blood. When we do a real blood test, the A's, B's, and the RHs all look pretty much the same here. But again, I'll go ahead and show you what those things look like kind of up close. So again, we can get an example of what the results look like there. As far as cleanup goes, when all is said and done, your toothpicks need to go in the trash and your dishes can be rinsed out in the sink and then put back onto the supply table with all the rest of your supplies. Okay, so that's a demonstration of how you do it. Again, once I see your positive and negative controls and they look good and I'm happy with them, then I'll give you a bunch of other blood samples to practice on and test. Okay, thank you.